You posted something vulnerable, something real, something that took courage, and now you wait, you refresh, you check. You need to know it mattered, that you matter. Hours pass. Maybe you get a few likes. Maybe you don't. Either way, it's not enough. It's never enough. Because what you're really waiting for isn't a notification. It's proof that you exist, that you're seen, that your pain, your effort, your existence registers in someone else's world. But that notification will never come. Not because you're not enough, but because you're asking the world to give you something it was never designed to provide, a reason to believe in yourself. If you're ready to stop waiting for proof and start knowing your worth, type "I exist" right now. This is where it begins. This is the trap most of us live in. We perform, we curate, we edit ourselves into something we think the world wants to see, and then we wait. We wait for validation, for approval, for someone to tell us we're enough. And the cruelest part? It never comes in the way we need it to, because no matter how many people applaud, there's always a voice inside whispering that it's not real, that they don't truly see you, that if they knew the whole truth, they'd turn away. So you work harder, you chase more. You shape yourself into someone more palatable, more impressive, more likable. You say yes when you want to say no. You hide the parts of yourself that feel too raw, too strange, too much. You become a performer in your own life, and the stage is everywhere. Every conversation is a test. Every interaction is a chance to be rejected or accepted. And you're exhausted because living for the approval of others is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it's never enough. The Stoics had a word for this. They called it living in accordance with external goods. You place your peace, your happiness, your sense of self in things you cannot control, in the opinions of others, in the reactions of people who have their own struggles, their own distractions, their own indifference. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." He saw it 2,000 years ago, and it's still true today. We betray ourselves daily in service of ghosts, people who aren't even thinking about us. Because here's the truth you already know but haven't wanted to face. Most people aren't thinking about you at all, not because they're cruel, not because you're unworthy, but because they're busy. They're trapped in their own heads, worried about their own performance, scanning for their own validation. You think they're judging you, but they're barely noticing. You think your mistake will haunt you in their minds, but they've already forgotten. The spotlight you feel on you? It's an illusion. You're standing on an empty stage, performing for an audience that isn't watching. And that's devastating, because if you've built your entire sense of self on being seen, on being valued by others, then this truth feels like annihilation. If no one cares, then what's the point? If the world is indifferent to your pain, your effort, your existence, then what do you have left? This is where most people stay, stuck in the cycle, performing harder, chasing louder, hoping that if they just do enough, say enough, become enough, someone will finally care in the way they need them to. But it doesn't work. It can't work, because the validation you're seeking doesn't exist outside of you. It never did. If you're tired of this cycle and ready to break free, type "I'm ready" in the comments. This is where your transformation begins. You've been taught that mattering means being noticed. That significance comes from applause. That your worth is determined by how much space you take up in other people's minds. And so you've spent years, maybe your whole life, trying to earn something that was never for sale. You've been knocking on a door that was never going to open. And the exhaustion you feel, that's the cost of living a lie. But what if the lie wasn't that no one cares? What if the lie was that you ever needed them to? Let's sit with it for a moment. Really sit with it. No one is staying up at night thinking about you. Not your failures, not your successes, not your fears or your dreams. The world is not conspiring against you, but it's also not rooting for you. It's simply indifferent. And that word, indifferent, lands like a punch. You want to resist it. You want to argue that some people care, your family, your friends, the people close to you. And sure, maybe they do. But even they have limits. Even they are living their own lives, fighting their own battles, carrying their own weight. They cannot be the foundation of your worth. They cannot be the reason you get out of bed, because people are human, and humans are unreliable. They forget. They get distracted. They drift, and if your entire sense of self is balanced on their attention, you will fall. Seneca knew this. He wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The pain you feel when you think someone is judging you, most of the time, it's fiction. The shame you carry from a moment you think defined you in someone else's eyes. They don't even remember it. You've been torturing yourself over things that only exist in your head. The world moved on, but you stayed stuck, waiting for a reckoning that will never come. This is the breaking point. The moment where the illusion cracks wide open and you see it for what it is. You've been living for people who aren't watching. You've been performing for an audience that doesn't exist. And all the effort, all the anxiety, all the shape-shifting you've done to try to matter to them, it was for nothing. Not because you're worthless, but because the game was rigged from the start. You were never going to win external validation, because external validation is a mirage. The closer you get, the further it moves. And here's where it gets painful, because if you've built your identity on being seen, on being valued, on being important to others, then this realization feels like death. Who are you if no one is watching? What's the point of trying if no one notices? If the world doesn't care whether you succeed or fail, why do anything at all? This is ego death, the part of you that needed to be admired, to be praised, to be validated. It's dying, and it hurts. It feels like loss, like falling through the floor into darkness, because you thought that part of you was you. You thought the approval you sought was proof of your existence, but it wasn't. It was just armor, a costume you wore to protect yourself from the terrifying possibility that you might have to stand alone. But here's the twist. That darkness you're falling into, it's not the end, it's the beginning. Because on the other side of this breaking point is something you've never had before. Freedom. Real freedom. The kind that doesn't depend on anyone else. The kind that doesn't crumble when someone walks away. The kind that makes you unshakable. The Stoics called this amor fati, the love of fate. Not just acceptance, but embrace. The world is indifferent. That's the truth. And you can let that truth destroy you, or you can let it liberate you. So what's it going to be? Here's what the Stoics understood that most people never will. The world's indifference is not a curse, it's a gift. Because when you stop expecting the world to care, you stop giving it power over you. You stop waiting for permission to live. You stop checking over your shoulder for approval. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. And in that space, the space where you finally let go, you find yourself. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Think about that. He's not saying you are foolish. He's saying you have to stop caring whether people think you are. Because the moment you release the need to control their perception, you become free to actually live. to experiment, to fail, to grow, to be human without the crushing weight of constant judgment. This is the shift, the pivot point. Indifference stops being something that happens to you and becomes something that happens for you. Because if no one cares, then no one is stopping you. If no one is watching, then you can't fail in their eyes. If no one is keeping score, then the only measure that matters is your own. You're not performing anymore, you're becoming. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, wrote in his private journals, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't writing that for publication. He was reminding himself. Even emperors need to remember that the only dominion worth having is over your own thoughts, your own reactions, your own inner world. Everything else is outside your control, and if it's outside your control, why let it control you? This is where philosophy stops being abstract and starts being practical. When you accept that the world is indifferent, you stop outsourcing your peace. You stop letting other people's moods dictate your day. You stop spiraling because someone didn't text back or didn't laugh at your joke or didn't acknowledge your effort. You understand that their response is about them, not you. And more importantly, you understand that your worth doesn't depend on their response at all. Let me tell you about Diogenes. He was a philosopher who lived in a barrel in ancient Greece. He owned nothing. He rejected every social convention. And one day Alexander the Great, the most powerful man in the known world, came to visit him. Alexander stood over Diogenes and said, "I am Alexander the Great. Ask me for anything, and it shall be yours." And Diogenes looked up at him and said, "Stand out of my sunlight." That's it. That's the embodiment of internal sovereignty. He needed nothing from the most powerful man alive. His peace wasn't for sale. You don't have to live in a barrel to embody this, but you do have to stop believing that your happiness, your purpose, your sense of self can come from anyone other than you. The world will not save you. Your parents won't. Your partner won't. Your friends won't. Not because they don't love you, but because they can't. No one can give you what you refuse to give yourself. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop needing people to care is the moment you actually start connecting with them. Because you're no longer performing. You're no longer trying to extract validation from every interaction. You're just there, present, honest, real. And that's magnetic. People feel it. They don't know why, but they're drawn to people who don't need anything from them, who aren't performing, who aren't afraid of silence or rejection or indifference, because those people have something rare. They're free. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. The indifference of the world is the friction. It's the trial, and it will either break you or forge you. If you resist it, if you keep fighting for the world to care, you'll stay brittle, fragile, dependent. But if you accept it, if you lean into it, you'll become something else, something harder to shake, something that doesn't crumble when the applause stops." This is the awakening, the realization that you were never broken. You were just lost. Lost in the belief that you needed to be someone else to be enough. Lost in the performance. Lost in the endless, exhausting chase for external proof of internal worth. But you're not lost anymore, because you've found the one thing that can never be taken from you: yourself. Marcus Aurelius said it best. Dig within. Within is the wellspring of good, and it is always ready to bubble up if you just dig. You've been looking outside for so long that you forgot to look within. But it's all there. The strength, the clarity, the peace. You don't need the world to give it to you. You just need to stop waiting for permission to claim it. So stop waiting. The world isn't going to notice, and that's exactly why you're free. So what does life look like on the other side of this? What happens when you finally accept that no one cares and let that truth set you free? You wake up and you don't check your phone, not because you're trying to prove something, but because the urgency is gone. The need to know what people think of you, whether they saw you, whether you mattered to them overnight, it evaporates. You matter to you, and that's enough. You start making decisions differently, not based on how they'll look, but on how they'll feel. You say no without guilt. You say yes without fear. You stop editing yourself in conversation, stop calculating every word for maximum likability. You just speak. And sometimes you're awkward. Sometimes you're misunderstood. Sometimes people don't like what you have to say, and it doesn't break you, because their reaction is about them, not you, and you're no longer in the business of managing other people's perceptions. You stop curating your life for an audience. You stop posting for validation and start sharing because you want to. Or you stop sharing altogether. Either way, it's your choice, not a performance, not a plea for attention, just an expression of who you are, take it or leave it. And most people will leave it. They'll scroll past, they'll forget, and that's fine, because you weren't doing it for them anyway. You become someone who moves through the world with a quiet kind of power, not loud, not aggressive, not demanding to be seen, just steady, grounded, unshakable. Because when you stop needing the world to validate you, the world can't destabilize you. Rejection doesn't sting the way it used to. Criticism doesn't cut as deep. Silence doesn't feel like abandonment. It's just silence, and you're comfortable in it. People notice. They don't always understand why, but they feel it. There's something different about you. You're not trying so hard. You're not performing. You're not fragile in the way most people are. And that makes you magnetic. Not because you're trying to be, but because you're not trying. You've stopped chasing, and paradoxically, that's when things start coming to you. Opportunities, relationships, clarity. They show up because you've made space for them. You're no longer cluttered with the noise of what everyone else thinks. This is what the Stoics meant by living in accordance with nature. Not the nature of trees and rivers, but your nature, your true self, the one that exists when you strip away the performance, the fear, the desperate need to be seen, the one that was always there, buried under layers of conditioning and anxiety, and the exhausting work of trying to be enough for everyone else. You stop trying to be enough for them, you just are, and that's revolutionary. You'll still have hard days. You'll still feel lonely sometimes. You'll still wonder if you're on the right path. But the difference is, you won't look outside for the answer. You'll sit with the discomfort. You'll dig within, like Marcus Aurelius said. And you'll find that the strength you were looking for was never out there. It was always inside you, waiting for you to stop running long enough to notice it. This is the life you get when you accept that no one cares. Not a cold life, not a lonely life, but a free one. A life where you're no longer a prisoner to other people's opinions. A life where your worth isn't up for debate. A life where you can fail, fall, stumble, and get back up without needing permission or applause. You become impossible to shake. Not because nothing touches you, but because nothing breaks you. You bend, you adapt, you move, but you don't shatter, because your foundation isn't built on sand anymore, it's built on you. And here's the final truth, the one the Stoics knew and the one you're learning now. The world was never cold, it was never cruel, it was just indifferent. And indifference is the greatest gift you could have been given, because it forced you to stop waiting. It forced you to stop performing. It forced you to become the person you were always meant to be. So accept it. Embrace it. Let the world be indifferent. And in that space, find yourself. Build yourself. Become unshakable. That's the power waiting for you on the other side. If you're ready to stop waiting for the world's permission and start building something unshakable within yourself, leave a comment below saying, "I am enough." And make sure to subscribe to The Stoic Mode and turn on notifications. This is just the beginning of your freedom. Thank you for being here. Stand unshaken.